I would start asking myself, what type of war is it? I had to have a long examination of these economies that existed in Afghanistan, and in many respects, I kept that country fighting for 30 years. But then if I wanted to be honest and take a really hard look at myself, at what I was engaged in, I could see these economies also sprouting up around my service. Why did I keep coming back? What was that drive? And I think many of those drivers were the ones that we've always seen. You're going because your buddies are still going, because the war isn't ending, because there's always one more deployment to do. But it was also the idea of, those deployments, those combat deployments, help my advancement. And there aren't any answers in this book, but I think that story and fiction is a great place to frame questions. And I think after 15 years of war, it's worthwhile to start asking those questions: is how is it and why are we able to be at war for 15 years? And so that's something that the story tries to lay out. I think something else with the book, as I talked a little bit about, kind of one is groping in the dark with the story, not really knowing what it is. I didn't set out initially or intend to write a book that was all told in the first-person perspective of an Afghan. That was sort of a realization I came to in the writing of it. So for me, particularly later in my career when I worked in intelligence, so much of my job was debriefing Afghans, sort of dealing with the walk-ins that would come into our fire base, or people we had more formal relationships with. And those walk-ins, the cadence of that was inevitably, I could almost set my watch to it. If I ordered up a short stack of pancakes with, hash browns and sausage, like that, there would be an Afghan at the gate who wanted to talk to me, and I have to push it aside. Or, inevitably in the shower, an Afghan would show up. It was never good timing for me. But those exchanges would always be me on one side of a desk, an Afghan on the other, that Afghan with a story that he was convinced was important, and my job to extract that story from him and determine its worth. And so the rhythm of the novel in its early drafts actually was told in that cadence, where Aziz has walked into a firebase and he's telling his story to an American. Sort of in the same framework of like Conrad's The Heart of Darkness, where the novella opens and Marlowe is sitting on a boat in the Thames River in London telling his story about going upriver in the Congo to go visit Kurtz. But as I started writing the book, the frame never felt right. This American character that Aziz was telling his story to just wasn't holding up. And I had to start asking myself, why did I paint this American in there? Why do I feel afraid to have Aziz speak directly to the reader? And as I sort of was thinking on that, I kind of came to the realization that I built this American in as a crutch. And if my intention for the novel was to try to tell the story of the Afghans that I had served alongside, I sort of had to find the artistic courage to just remove that crutch and allow the novel to succeed or fail based off the merits of Aziz's voice alone. And that's the conclusion I came to. And the end product is, it's what we have here.